Can I get my water? I need to get my water.
Then I'll remove you from here.
Mm.
Hello, 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 all. It is 14 Days of Love, week 2. And this one is dedicated to you, the beautiful couples in the world, or at least those who have registered, signed up, and can view this stream right now. This week it is Love Thy Spouse. So, we're going to get off into it like we have been having the conversations and getting into talking about what we're talking about and hopefully helping relationships to heal, restore, and do all the things. So, we're going to give you a little bit of time to come on in the room. Yes, it's early because we want you to come on in the room. All right, so go grab your boo, tell them it's time to get started, and come on in the room. Okay, let me go get my boo because it's the two of us on tonight, and we're gonna hit it up real nice, bring it in real soft and gentle, get into the conversations, get in and get out. So go ahead and grab your boo thing and come and join us. Let us know when you're in the room by hitting up the chat. Let us know when you have joined by hitting up the chat. Say, hey, I'm here. It's me and my boo, and we just trying to get into it. And not get into it, but get into it. Hello, somebody. That was a bad joke. I know. I'm sorry. But it was funny to me, so I'll be all right. Once I start getting you guys off in the room, hey, 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 hey. Who goes there? Tell me who you are. Tell us. Hey. Hello to the Doomerangs. They're in the building. Welcome to another night. We're going to have some fun tonight, y'all. It's going to be Liddy in the city. Again, we're talking about love thy spouse this week. Love thy spouse this week. That is what we are getting into. Love thy spouse. Love thy spouse. And we're getting into all the things. And I'm so excited about it. Waiting, giving some people some more time. We'll give them a couple more minutes. Couple more minutes. Hello, Miss Tamika. Hello, Mr. Charles. Nice to have the both of you in the building. Again, this is 14 Days of Love. Mr. Charles, I don't know if you are aware what's been going on here, but we're talking 14 Days of Love, honey. And this week, we're talking to our couples strictly. Couples strictly. We're talking about loving our mates, right? How do I actually practice loving, speaking to, talking to, encouraging, uplifting, engaging, forgiving, all the things with our mates? And so we are going to get into it. We're going to give some more people some time to chime in, to log on, see what we have going on. And while we are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pull in my boo because why not, start the spouse section with my spouse. Hello, somebody. So hold on. Let me bring them on in the room. Welcome,
No.
Mr. Avery, to the show on tonight. That way, the men won't think they're alone tonight as well.
All right now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for having me.
So he's in the building. He's in the place. Your face is in the place, and I thank you for it being here.
Mm.
Make sure you are
Amen.
sharing and making sure your friend is aware that we are on and we are alive and we are kicking. We're giving it a couple of more minutes because, of
Mhm.
course, those who were just logging in at 8, it's only one more minute. So
Yeah.
we're going to give them a little bit of time, a little bit of time. But we appreciate those who have come so far. Hope that if you were a part of the individual segment, which was last week, you've been enjoying yourself. Um, I am. believing that I'm going to do some couples raffles on tonight. We have a few things that are going to hit the floor to get us started. And then throughout the week, we have even more raffles. So it's always a good time when you get to have good conversation, plus get to have some items of what you can apply, some of the things that we talked about. So I'm
Hmm.
excited about all the raffles. They're all good, especially the last night where it's just an all male cast. And we're going to give
Mm.
out a raffle that's strictly for the men. And I got insight on that. So we know it's going to be some good male, a good male gift. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be good. Um, your wife can win it for you, but it is for the men. So this is not for the women. This is for the men.
Machismo in the house.
I
Mm.
guess, child. Whatever that mean. I don't know.
Macho is
Oh,
macho. You
okay.
know how
Gotcha.
we do.
Gotcha. 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 I
Yeah,
understand
machizo
now.
macho.
So let me let people know we live. Make sure you let your friends know, share and share alike. You know, sharing is caring.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
Sharing is caring.
No, check this again.
Hmm.
Just checking again.
Ooh,
Okay, just a couple of people.
coming in, coming in, coming in. I see y'all. So let's come
All
on up
right.
and through. Let's come on up and through. Oop, there we go. Hide that one. And in one more minute, we will start. In one more minute, we are starting. Good conversation tonight. And I need you guys to do what you have been doing, and that is participate with your comments. So engage, engage, engage. Let's have this conversation together. Let's make sure that we are here for everyone to have the
Mm-hmm.
process. Oh,
Of
not
course.
Dallas. I guess he's
Who said that? Who said that? Because I can't see the comment. Who said that?
our dear friend Charles. He says not Dallas. Yeah, I'm a chief. Yeah, no.
I know we didn't make it, but I've
Tahoe
been
chief.
since I've been like 5 or 6, so I can't let it go. I'm too invested in.
Do you? This is Kansas City bred right here, though. I'm not just a chief because they cute and pretty. I'm a chief because I'm born in the Kansas of the
But I thought you
city.
from Chicago. Oh, but you were raised in Chicago, born in Kansas City, raised in
Born in
Chicago.
Kansas City, raised in Chicago.
Okay.
Oh, 49ers. Okay.
Even though the Eagles gonna win next week, though, the Eagles will win. I mean, Saturday, Sunday, the Eagles will
So
win.
you don't even know. So I can't believe you on that one. I don't even know
Okay.
what you're talking about.
I know what I know. I know football, but okay.
Mm.
This is
We'll
what I
see.
do. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
We were the
Mm-hmm.
only team that could have beat the Eagles, and since we didn't make it to there, they got a clear path.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Tamika. She's got it. Thank you. Thank you. God bless. God bless America. And on that note, we can go ahead and get started. So, welcome to 14 Days of Love Conference Week 2, where we're dedicating this to the couples in the room, to the couples,
Yes.
couples, couples. Last week, we dealt with individuals. I was saying singles, but actually, some of our couples was also coming in and getting their own portion for themselves, which was what all of last week was about, loving yourself first. Then you
Hmm.
can love your mate, all right? Because if you cannot check in with you, if you're not tapping in to make sure that you're good or that you're solid or that you have questions or concerns that you need to weed out, that you need to dive into yourself and say, hey, am I still dealing with
Hmm.
this? Am I still dealing with that? Am I hurt in places? Is my hurt going to hurt somebody else? You won't be able to actually love your mate the way you need to.
That's right.
So that's why we had to deal with loving yourself first. Now we're getting into loving your spouse, loving your mate. And so I'm very happy. I call this harvest time because we laid the seed, we watered the field. Now it's time for us to dig up and harvest. Now, I ain't saying, marriage is the harvest, right? Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. I am
Okay.
saying that after you have laid the seed, after you have laid the foundation, after you have pondered on some things, after you have thought about some things, usually a harvest comes from that. Usually you're ready now to really dig up some stuff. Now you're really able to, tap into some things and gain some things. And so that's what this segment is about. It is about now, how do we go and make sure that the love we've been pouring inside of ourselves, the time we've been making for ourselves, we can now harvest it with how we interact and treat the next person that's the most closest to us, and that is our mate. Because the way you treat your children is one thing, but how you treat your mate when you learn to love yourself, that's another thing, right? Because
Yes.
sometimes when you're hurting, that's also how you treat your mate. So that's why I say it's harvest time. And I'm hoping harvest time hits different. I'm hoping that because you have been learning how to refeed yourself, now
Hmm.
you're at the point of release, and that you're in a different mindset in this portion, in this part. Um, I am very excited to
Mm.
start the Love Thy Spouse section because for me, especially as a mental health therapist, we're talking about how do we see our spouse? How do we talk to our spouse? How do we reference and revere and appreciate and respect our spouse? And a whole lot more. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I am a licensed mental health therapist for the
Hmm.
state of Florida, for the state of Tennessee, for the state of New York, for the state of New Jersey, even for the state of Washington. But by no means does this conference and any conversation that I participate in take the place of you seeking out and receiving services from a licensed therapist or marriage and family counselor.
Mm.
Okay. We're going to talk about what we're talking about. I'm going to get into some things. I'm going to ask some questions, and I have some answers for you. And I may have answers from you from a mental health and therapeutic perspective as well, because I mean, that's who I am. But it does not take the place if you so feel that your relationship could benefit. And it doesn't mean your relationship is broken. Let's throw that myth right out the window. Just because you're in um, services, marriage counseling, life coach sessions for couples, just because you're receiving those services does not mean that your relationship is in turmoil, does not mean that y'all on the brink of divorce. It doesn't mean that you're being abused. It doesn't mean any of that thing. It means I would like to have somebody, check in on us. I would like to talk about some concerns and some questions I may have. I may need a different way. We may need to learn a different method of communication. We may need to learn a different way of learning each other and understanding each other, hearing each other. Sometimes maintenance is just what it is. Just let me check in, make sure we still good, make sure we understand and we heard. It's just as it's the same way as when you go into individual therapy. It's not that you're broken. It's not that you're crazy. It's that you
Hmm.
need somebody to tap into you real quick and help you um, funnel through some stuff.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's make sure that's clear. But also get one, because this ain't that. We ain't even gonna stay here long enough for you to
Okay.
actually have
Now.
that depth. So, without further ado, I want to what is it? Introduce to some and present to others. My baby Zeddy, my future baby Zeddy. My fiance, soon to be my husband. Hello, somebody. Okay. I want to introduce Mr. Avery Herring, Senior, to the conference.
All right now, and glad to be introduced. Only thing that was missing with that was the thunderous applause or some claps, but but I'm excited. to definitely be here. And I like what you said. Just to reiterate, we're going to be giving out some tools. It's not that you're broken, but any good mechanic or anybody that works on something always will tell you that it's always good to add something to the tool belt. So even if you're doing
Mm,
some things well, you know, we want to do some things and introduce some stuff that'll add more tools, if you will, to the toolbox. I'm excited to be here. Um, I'm really excited about our future. We got next. I always say that. We definitely got next. And
got
to the
next.
listeners out there, there's joy in the journey. And we're going on a journey
Yes,
tonight.
there is. Yes, there is. So let's go ahead and kick this off. This Love Thy Spouse with today's topic. I see you. I see you.
Okay.
So, my pastor, our pastor, he always uses this illustration and he says, the moment my children stop seeing my correction as love, so
Mhm.
discipline, punishment, consequences, things of that nature, when the moment they stop seeing that as love, they'll stop seeing me as their father.
Mhm.
And that basically speaks about perspective, right? Your
Mhm.
perspective exposes where you are.
Mhm.
So if you keep seeing what your spouse is doing or saying as a trigger, you won't acknowledge him as a loving spouse anymore. You won't see her as a loving spouse anymore. You will start to see them as a trigger when all they're
Mhm.
doing is exposing an area that has not been unpacked for you. You may have
Mhm.
thought you handled it. You may have thought you addressed it. You may have thought you dealt with that. You may have thought you healed from that. But if
Mhm.
something they're saying, something they're doing is bringing this thing up, it's most likely an unpacked area.
Mhm.
And I would like to call that a landmine you are
Mhm.
trying to avoid. That's our
Mhm.
first point. We're talking about landmines. So let's go ahead and get into it. Question is this: have you ever so badly wanted to be seen that you just knew that this relationship you entered into, they will finally see you, they will finally get you, they'll finally understand, and then all of a sudden, they don't. You feel like
Mhm.
they keep bringing up your past, or you keep bringing up concern, keep bringing up triggers. Everything that happened to you before seems to be what's coming up, and you don't feel seen. You don't
Mhm.
feel actually present. They keep seeing your past mistakes and who you used to be and not who you're
Mhm.
trying to be. Even if they're seeing the past of you in that relationship. So say you've been together 20 years, so you've been together 10 years, so you've been together
Mhm.
5 years, so you've been together 30 years, and you feel like they just keep seeing the person that was when they first started, with you.
Mhm.
But I've changed from being that person. I don't talk to you like that. I don't treat you like that. We're not this, but I don't feel seen. I feel like all of a sudden you don't see me.
Hmm.
Have we ever had that? I would like to go ahead and start setting up that chat. And I want you to
Okay.
go ahead and drop those looking eyes. The ones that
Mhm.
go to the side. I want you to drop those looking eyes in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about, far as I just want to be seen, but there are times where I don't feel like I'm being seen in my relationship because of issues from the past, because of triggers, arguments, but I don't feel seen all the time. And it's
Hmm.
okay. Now listen, it's gonna get a little because your partner's right there with you. And I know you're like, if I put that, they're gonna have something to say. Listen, that's the whole point of tonight. We all got something to say about that. And we're here to talk about it, be honest about it, so that the other person can realize and start seeing you. Because if I can, hold on. Now I don't have no emojis on here, but I'll put mine down. I'll put my looking eyes down, child. My looking eyes is there. I just put looking. I just put because I can't put no emoji, so I'm just gonna put looking. I'm just looking. Because there are times where I don't feel like I have been seen.
Mhm.
I have not been seen.
I'm trying to put where I can, and I think maybe it could be the browser where I can't even. But I'll just say I'll put my looking eyes on too.
But hey, and we we together. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you don't have moments where you don't feel like you being seen, especially when you've been in that relationship for some time. That's usually sometimes when we don't feel like they seeing us anymore because you're so used to us. You didn't got comfortable where you don't really
Mhm.
see me like I need you to see me. So, Avery, can you go ahead and lead that conversation, especially from the men perspective? And you can even use, obviously, I'm fine with you being open, honest, and transparent. If you have a situation or occurrence
Sure.
from even when we were together, um, so far, that there's been moments where you feel like something has come up, whether it's a
Mhm.
conversation or
Okay.
whether it was a particular response to something where it was like I stepped on a landmine, and now you're
Okay.
concerned if I actually see you.
Okay. So as you know, Veronica, I always say this thing, and I've said it even in a few podcasts I was on. Unpacking is healthy, but it ain't always comfortable.
Mhm.
So it's unhealthy. I mean, it's healthy. Excuse me. It's healthy to unpack, but it's not always comfortable. And I know when speaking from us specifically, when we first started, it was almost like the honeymoon stage, and I still
Mhm.
had that new car smell, if
Mhm.
you will, and it was nothing that I felt I couldn't do no wrong. And then it's just like, we got into some conversations, and without even realizing mine, I did something that reminded you, and vice versa, reminded you somewhere else. And um I like the fact it was one instance particular when it came to traveling. You had wanted to travel somewhere, and then I had said no, but it reminded you of when a previous person said no, but that person was controlling.
Mhm.
Whereas I was coming from an angle of, well, no, we got to look at, this, and third. But all you heard was, I didn't want you to travel to this particular. And so that was a landmine. It brought up something. Um, and, we went through that. We went through that block a couple of times. But
Mhm.
I do like that in one of the instances where you said, well, when you responded to me, you came back and you apologized and you said, um, I was mad at someone else, but I wasn't talking to you. I responded to you, but I really wasn't mad at you. And I think, you know, being honest, especially most of us on here have come from previous relationships, if I could be safe in saying that.
Mhm.
And so, coming from previous relationships, you're going to have experiences from those previous relationships, and it's going to happen. It's going to, no matter how wonderful, how perfect it could be, heaven on earth, there will be times that I believe it's going to happen. What I do want us to recognize that, coming back, I think one of the things to help with the mate is when you think about a landmine in the military, they have those, I forgot what they're called, because people use the same thing when they go on a beach looking for gold. And
Mm.
you scan the beach and looking and sensing for metal. And
Mm.
based upon where you scan at will let you know how close you are to metal. But they also do the same thing in military. I just forgot the tool. And you
Mhm.
scan by because especially if there's a place where there's a known minefield, you want to know where the landmines are, so you don't step and blow something up. So in the
Mm.
military, they grab that tool, they hover it over, and it actually the tool goes before them. As soon as they hear a beep, 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 they stop walking because the next step could be a landmine. Well, what am I saying?
Charles says it's a metal
And
detector. Gotcha.
it's a metal today. Doom, 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 got to do the prices right. Failed on that one, but that metal detector, the metal detector warns you that hey, the next place you may be stepping is a landmine. So
Mm.
my thing is when you uncover a landmine in your relationship, particularly with men, I can
Mm.
speak for men because we tend to be forward thinkers and not emotional. You need to detect the metal detector in your relationship. Hey, this is how this went down last time, and I didn't get the results that I wanted. So now, before I step on that landmine again, let the tool go before me. One is listening, one is seeing. We talked about
Mm.
can we see, and so that I don't step on that again.
And I think what you brought up in that is the fact that we do have landmines. We do have
Hmm.
things that we thought were dealt with, but they're still kind of laying below the surface. And there are times
Hmm.
where we're not going to step in our own backyard. Like we know where what areas to avoid, so we're not going to step on our landmines. But our spouse, they may step on those landmines because they're not aware that that thing is still triggering me, that thing is still bothering me, that thing is causing an issue. And so how does that come into I can't see you? Well, because here's the thing. If if I have, say we're talking about a new relationship, under
Hmm.
10 years,
Okay.
and I had a bad situation in the previous relationship, lack of trust,
Hmm.
controlling behavior, um, being like spoken to in ways that did not do well for me, disrespect, feeling low self esteem, low confidence, just just a few things. I can even speak to the degree where you were talking about the controlling situation where the person didn't want me, going anywhere, always question, where do you have to go? Where do you have to go? But it was not a loving way. It was trying to keep me, it was kind of isolating me from friends and family so that they can just keep me to
Mm.
themselves because they knew that there were some issues within us and the other persons that I will go see may possibly speak to me concerning it and will make me
Mm.
want to not be a part of the relationship anymore. So you have to be careful, right? So I'm thinking that one of my landmines that I could take that I took care of was the fact that I can trust, right? So I trust you. But I didn't realize that one of my landmines was a controlling trigger. And so the
Mm.
moment you got close to an area where I felt like you were trying to control me, my landmine literally blew up in front of your face. And then I end up
Mm.
snapping and I'm responding to. And so now I don't see you. I see the person that was trying to do that from the past. I see how it made me
Hmm.
feel. I see that I did
Hmm.
not like it. I could because there was also some ramifications of that. You're isolating me from our friends. Some of those relationships, once we broke up, had to be restored, had to be rekindled, had to be fixed. And so I don't want that
Hmm.
happening again. So I see that. I see broken friendship coming again. I see how I felt, how I didn't like it, and I see controlling. And so now I don't see you anymore. And when I
Mm.
respond, when I snap, when I go off and say, I don't see why I can't go see, I don't see what's wrong with that. I'm not seeing you. I'm seeing what happened before in response to this. So it's vital to understand your landmines. Your mate may not know
Hmm.
all your landmines. Your mate
Hmm.
might not realize that the argument y'all got into 3 years ago still is bothering you.
Hmm.
When you said that you got over it, but you really didn't. You got over it for the moment and you thought you did until they did something similar again and they stepped on another landmine. The problem is you have to start digging up your landmines.
Hmm.
You can't have a backyard full of landmines because what kind
Hmm.
of relationship now is that? How do I go about trying to interact with you when there's so many trigger points all over again? How do I go about trusting you and restoring our relationship? Like, don't let you had cheated in the relationship, y'all decided to stay together. Don't let you
Mm.
had been abusive in some kind of way, y'all stayed together. Those are landmines now in your field, and you have to be honest that they're still there, and be honest with the person. Say, you know what, the metal detector that goes off is the trigger. You just said something, and something came up inside of me, and I don't know what that was. I don't know why I'm angry. I don't know how I just got upset, but that kind of set me off. And now, if I sit down and I think about it, I don't. I think that was was reminding me back to that. Remember a couple years ago when you did, and it really threw me off. And because you were sneaky with your phone calls, or because you walked into the other room and take a
Mhm.
phone call, or
Mhm.
because as soon as the phone rang, you heard it and looked at it and put the phone down, face down, so I can't see. Okay, when you did those things last time, you were cheating on me. So forgive me
Mm.
if now when you doing it, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Just answer me, just talk to me, just respond back to me. Don't why are you tripping? Why you all of a sudden, hold on, wait a minute. Because right now you don't see me. You're seeing somebody that's accusing you and acting like you're
Mhm.
still the same person.
Accusation.
And I now I also don't see you because I see somebody that's sneaking and lying and trying to hide something and not be forthcoming. So now I no longer see you in this moment and you no longer see me. All we see is the past of what happened. And that only thing that revealed that ain't been that's not that wasn't fully unpacked. Or that's still an issue for
Mm.
me. I still don't feel safe in that spot right there. That just
Mhm.
dug something up. Your metal detector is having that conversation, you feeling it out and being not afraid to ask the questions that need to be asked so that I can actually see you. If I say, babe, that's still kind of triggering me a little bit. I'm not saying you're doing it, but those the kind of behaviors and mannerisms you had before when you were doing it. So if I ask you something, can you just humor me and tell me? Don't think I'm thinking you already doing that because it's similar. It's measuring up. It looks the same. And what would happen? I exposed my landmine.
Mm.
You addressed it and said, you know what? Okay, I understand. I get it. I don't feel like I'm not doing it, babe. That's not what that is. I don't feel like I need to show you the message or the text, whatever like that. But I've been keeping it what I said. I
Mhm.
understand. Our vow is still together. I still love you. You know, what can we do in this moment to kind of bring ourselves back? You know what? You just saying that we good. You done dug that thing up. You done
Mm.
dug that thing, and it did not blow up instead. Where it could have blown up if you. I don't know why I can't show you my phone every time somebody call. I'm just trying to. Ooh, boom. There goes an explosion.
Mhm. Mhm.
There goes an explosion. And now all you see is not me being concerned today. You took me all the way back there.
Took right back.
You
Now
took
I'm
it there.
seeing
Go
some
ahead.
comments
Ingrid said
in the
that's
chat. I
good.
was one and yeah, I was wondering if anyone felt comfortable enough to share in the comments what their landmine may have been. Anyone.
Mm,
And because this is a good topic because um I'm a big proposer of I don't think we should just keep going through things and just figuring it out as we go. So
mhm,
some things, yeah, they're uncomfortable. Remember, I talked about unpacking is good for us, but it ain't always comfortable. You know, this is a safe place where we can have healthy dialogue. So does anyone feel safe to in the comments maybe share? You don't have to go in detail, but maybe share what was some of your landmines. We'll give you about 30 seconds, right, Veronica?
mhm. What has been some of your landmines, especially since I know a few of you have been together for some time. What do you feel like keeps coming up, or if that's too deep? And we always say you got if you want to heal, you got to keep it real. So sometimes you're gonna have to go deep. Um, but some landmines that's out there that you may say, I'm realizing that I continue being triggered. I continue having landmine. And you may have a question. Like even if you have a question about landmines, go ahead and put that in the chat as well.
We'll wait.
Mm.
Give him a few
Any
more
questions
seconds.
you may have a lot about landmines? Any questions you may have about detecting how to properly use your metal detector?
Hmm.
Um,
I
how
cannot believe I
you
couldn't think of metal detector. I'm so
I
embarrassed.
couldn't either. I couldn't either. Child. I was like, I don't know what you talk. I see the stick in my head, but I can't think of what it was called. But ways that you've been using your metal detector, or just being honest and say, my metal detector has been going off here lately.
Mm,
You can even just be honest and say that my metal detector has been going off lately.
okay. Well, somebody will eventually chime on. Go ahead, we'll continue. Um,
So, um, I noticed the possible landmines that happen as relationships mature. And when I say mature, I mean like they age. So we're at the 5 year mark, 10 year mark, things of that nature. Um, Tamika has said her metal detectors have been going off. She's been being triggered by different things. It has been bringing up stuff. Um, Now I'm gonna ask you, Avery,
mhm.
if a young lady says, if I was to say, my metal detector is going off, like I'm noticing that I'm being triggered by some things that you're doing, and
Mm,
how would you best like for me to describe that to you so that it doesn't explode in this relationship?
mm, mm. Ooh, that's a good one. I think with me, I won't say I'm different than most, but I like I notice I'll use ours for example. When you first brought something to me and you said, well, this is something I dealt with. My response was, we all have those things. I will walk through your door with you because I know the next time you're going to walk through my door. So, for example, I'll use a real life example.
Mm-hmm.
A young lady may say, well, my metal detector is going off because, people been calling me controlling and I know I ain't controlling and boom, boom, boom. So that's a it's me explaining it, but that's a defensive response
Mm-hmm.
to what I'm explaining. That doesn't get you heard all the time.
Okay.
So my I've always learned that in difficult conversations, try to have it at a neutral place, not at your place where you guys are, you know, where you come together, just like a neutral ground. Maybe go out for a walk. Maybe just when you guys are happy place and explain your that my hey, this is a trigger for me instead of just the outburst because I think it's received. So I like for you just to come and talk to me and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. You notice that I've been acting this way and this has become. Now what I had to learn from a man and I'm still learning. Is it okay if I say I'm still learning?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that but the more I know the person, which I'm learning you, the more that if when something is off, react to the first thing that's off.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of that eye exam that we're going to be talking about later. So now I'm learning to see, hey, Ronnie usually doesn't do this. So something's coming up that's causing this. And then I wait sometimes for it to come back around.
Mm-hmm.
Like perfect example, Sunday after church. And
Hey,
I
I
was like,
told you
wow,
I
she
can be
acting real deep.
transparent.
She's acting real different. And this is not like her. And I'm like, I know I didn't do nothing. And so in times past, even in our times past, I would be like, yo, what's up with you? And it would cause me to have head scratching moments. But in those moments, I'm learning to be quiet. I'm learning to, okay, I'm getting to know the person versus the situation.
Hmm.
And then Ronnie came back to me later and said, well, my hormones is just acting up. So because my hormones is acting up, you getting da 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 da. Now that could have exposed a metal detector in me because in previous relationships, I've had, being a nice guy where I've been exploded on and people coming out of character. So that was a landmine. Respect or the lack thereof was a landmine of mine. So I know I went around the block just to go up the street. But how I like for a young lady to come to me is just really explain it. Sometimes even if you have to explain after. And as a man, I'm saying you can't always go off on the initial response because initial response of what the person is doing is you're not getting that person at that time. You're just getting what's triggered.
Mm.
Okay, Ingrid has something in the comment.
Ingrid said the one for me was bringing up the past about being with the loser in the past. This was an issue, but I felt we are past this now. I definitely can attest to that situation. And that is a trigger because if I've told you my story, I've explained to you some things that I've gone through, and when I'm talking to you about something you're doing is reminding me, and that's what a
Mhm,
trigger is pulling something from the past that has occurred. Your amygdala is saying it's present. This person is happening all over again. And so the response unit that you had back then is responding now. And because you remember being hurt, because you remember being dismissed, because you remember being disrespected, because you remember how that situation went down, you be doggone if it happened again today. So you're going to
mhm,
respond as if because it's a protective field. Listen, what we not finna do, what you will not do. This is how listen, and then if especially if you say, "Well, I ain't that person." Listen, I didn't talk to you about that for you to throw that in my face. I'm aware that you're not that person. If somebody says that to you, they're saying you don't see me. I ain't the
mhm,
person that I ain't the one that did. I ain't the. They're saying you stop seeing me. Who you looking at? Who you seeing pop up? What you seeing right now? And if we can be honest, we can say, you know what? My mind took me back to a place. And when my mind
mm,
goes back, it's like my eyes rolling in the back of my head to that memory. And so I see back then, I don't see now. So, yes, I'm not seeing you standing before me. I'm seeing similarities. I'm seeing something that you did that reminds me of that person who disrespected me. And so I'm responding to them now to you so that you don't do what they did. Hope you followed that. I'm responding to you now, but I'm really not responding to you because this is not an isolated event. This ain't something new that just came up. I'm responding to what happened actually before, and it's not going to happen to me again. And that's why I have all the aggression as I'm responding to you now. And like Avery just said, sometimes we got to catch a beat and say, wait a minute, you just triggered me. But why did that just trigger me? Because I thought I was over that. I see that you're not that person. You've been treating me like this, but why are you acting like this lately now? Like, but why are you starting to do this now? Can we talk? Because I feel like I don't know what's going on, but I feel like we're not seeing each other anymore. I feel like we got some defenses going on. Our walls are up all of a sudden. All of a sudden now we're being triggered by small little things, and I'm coming at you, and I can realize that I can see that. So let's talk. Like let's really. What is it that you feel like is happening? What do you feel like that it's not being said? How do you feel like you're not being seen? It's the conversation piece. It's the conversation piece that's going to help you with your metal detector because your metal detector is off. It's off. What you think is happening is not happening. Charles said, yes, the way you respond and express your trigger can either help the situation or blow it up. That is the exact point. That's the exact point. It's not only how you tell somebody that just triggered me, that just did something to me, and don't move because now you're on a live landmine. And the moment you move, it's going
mm,
to explode. You just stepped on something, and now my response unit, which is that flight or fight response unit that tells me I'm in danger because something that happened to you before that hurt you before is trying to happen again, is trying to respond in me now, and now I'm about to respond to you, and so I'm about to go off and the flame is about to happen. So stand still. Stand still. Let me breathe. Let me get it down together. Because if I can calm myself down, you can move your foot and we can actually have the conversation. That landmine will never go off. But you gotta
mm.
be ready to talk, and you have to be ready to receive what's being said to you. Because if I'm telling you something and then your landmine goes off, we done blew each other up. We done
Mm.
blew each other up. So it's very vital. So the next part that goes with
Hold on
that,
a second. I got some people that's hitting me up to saying they're trying to get in, but they can't get in.
okay, how are they
So
trying to get in? Okay, I see what you're talking about. Um,
it's saying private.
what's saying private?
What person I?
Give us a second. Give us
when they
a
try to.
second.
Okay, so I got a
Oh,
couple people.
I get what you're saying. They're trying to get into the chat and hold on, you guys, stand by. If you have any other questions or any other thoughts, make sure you are you can chime it on in, bring the conversation in. Let me try to share this.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Ooh, let me mute you, child. Let me mute you.
So while she's doing that, can anyone see how this is benefiting at all? Because like I said, you're gonna come across landmines, whether it's a new relationship or, to be honest with you, like Ronnie said, if it's an older relationship that's 15, 10, 20, 30 years, um, we all have them, but it's just putting something in the toolbox so that we don't have them as often.
Mm,
So that we don't have them as often. Because then your relationship goes from being a relationship to one that's being toxic. Because I don't know where to step. Everywhere I step is something that has a potential to blow up. All right. Okay, so Ingrid says, for me, it causes me to not want to share.
mm.
How so, Ingrid? Does it make you want to isolate?
Or shut down, which is also stonewalling. That's a response. That is definitely a response when you feel.
Because that's a natural defense mechanism too. Some people do fight or flight, um, and some people just nah. I'm shut down. I never wanna. I never want to get hurt like that again. So
Mm-hmm.
nope, 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 nope. I can't let you get too close. I cannot let you get too close. So let me shut this down right now. Okay, Charles says I'd rather walk away than argue. I could identify
Mm,
with that because I don't like to argue either. So I definitely. Um, but I will say, and I definitely hear you because I do that myself. But sometimes there's no healing. Sometimes when you walk away, because God won't heal what you choose not to reveal.
mm,
And so some things I know it's that those tough conversations, but some things sometimes we got to have it. Now, if it's in a situation where you're both exploding, then nah, yeah, walking away was because you're definitely not seeing each other, and you know you you're having a shouting match at that time, and most people will tell you, everybody that gets in an argument, you want to win the argument. Let's just
mm,
be transparent. You wanna, hey, you ain't seeing my point of view, and I need you to see what I need you to see. So in an argument, you want to win, but sometimes I'm even learning that you win sometimes by, I don't want to use the word losing, but sometimes by giving in. It doesn't.
mm,
I'm just speaking to the man. It don't take nothing from your manhood. It doesn't take anything for value for you. Or now, I'm not saying be a doormat and be disrespected. That's not what I'm saying. But some points you don't always have to make. Just a little tidbit. Want to throw that out there because that's a landmine, and like something analogy she said before. If I move to the right, if I move to the left, boom, it's gonna blow up.
mm-hmm.
So sometimes I have to be present and be still, deal with it before I make another step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Hopefully, I got you to where you guys are in here. Um, let's see.
Uh, I just told a couple people try again.
Yeah, looks like some of them got in. Let me know if you guys were able to get in by saying I'm in here. So we did see some more people come in. So yes, I would agree. Stonewalling, walking away. I always say that when you are having so in conflict resolution, that I teach my clients when they're trying to communicate, and you realize it's getting more aggravated and agitated than it is healing. It is best to pause that conversation and walk away.
Hmm.
When you walk away, you need to check in on what line mine just went off. You need to check in
Mm.
on what just got triggered. You need to check in with how you responded to that trigger. You need to find out, how did that just impact me? What was just said that really set me off? Why did it set me off? You know what? It's because I feel like I've been doing X, Y, and Z, and I remember when times past someone said that and made me feel less than, or someone said this and made me feel like I wasn't worth it, or a couple years ago you told me this is what you wanted me to change, and I know I've been working on it, but now you see I'm back doing the same thing again. So now I feel boom, 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 boom. So now when we come back to each other, then we can address the landmine. We can say, you know what? I was being triggered.
Mhm.
That did something to me. This is a conversation we had before. It almost caused us to end then. I thought we dealt with it. I thought I had been working on it. So can you please talk to me and tell me, at what point did you feel that I stopped working on it? Because it sounds like you just saying something now. And now my landmine is going off. Now things are exploding. Or you stopped working on something. You got comfortable. And I don't want you to do that. And that's where the problem comes in. Shutting down is a main thing. Stonewalling. Shut down, get mute, get quiet, avoid, silent treatment, but it doesn't accomplish a thing. It
Mhm.
doesn't accomplish a thing. All it does is create more landmines, more vital landmines. Because if the landmine doesn't change,
Mm.
now it becomes more explosive, because now
Mm.
it has a tendency to kill us. Not just harm the relationship, not just cause a rift in us right now today that we need to work on something. Now it can actually bring an end to us. This
Mm.
landmine then got thick enough because I told you it was a landmine. You ignored it and act like it wasn't nothing. You act like this wasn't a really big trigger. You act like this really wasn't a big problem. This is not a real big issue. If it's something that person did. Now, there are some times where it's our past that's coming up in our own mind because they did
Mm.
something that was similar, and they can't tiptoe around your landmine. You're going to have to dig that thing up. You're going to have to realize, when I was concerned about him trying to control me, when I was concerned about if I'm so used to doing something, I'm used to being the strength, and then you want to come and you want to do it, and it was making me upset and it was blowing me. It's because, to me, you're trying to make me weak and dependent on you. And then the last person I gave that to, they ended up letting me down, disappointing me, and I had to take it back on myself anyway. And so it became a trigger. So I have to realize, I can't tell you to stop stepping on my landmine. I gotta dig that joke up. I
Mhm.
gotta realize, you know what, when he does this and when he does that, I have to stop seeing him as my past. I have to stop seeing him as a trigger. I have to stop seeing him. I'm going to start seeing him. You know what? He's actually a loving person. He actually cares about me.
Mhm.
He's actually concerned about what I'm going through. And he doesn't realize that when he goes and tries to help me in this area, or when he actually processes, maybe it's not a good time to travel and go do that, I can immediately see, oh, you're just trying to control me. You're trying to make me not do nothing. I could, you know what? He's never shown me a controlling. He's never shown me
Mhm.
somebody who, doesn't actually care. He actually processes with me. He actually talks with me. You have to remember the relationship that you actually have with this person. Actually remind yourself who you're seeing, who you're actually seeing and looking at, who she actually is, how she's actually been trying to show up, how she's actually been there for you. Then you can
Mhm.
separate that from the landmine that's going off and say, okay, this is not that person. I'm being triggered right now because something they're doing immediately just said, oh, see, it's going to end up being just like that. And that's not it. So, you know what?
Mhm.
Let me check that. Let me realize this ain't that. They don't even move that way. They ain't doing the other things that would constitute that. You gotta check your facts. What lines up
Mhm.
with it? They don't line up with that. So you know what, baby, I'm sorry. My mom went back. I know you're not
Mhm.
them. So give me some grace as I'm starting to, let that thing get dug up. But I appreciate you. And that's how.
Mhm.
So since we're talking about that, let's go to our final point. Because we only had
Mhm.
2 points tonight, y'all. Because this was going to be a deep conversation, like I just told y'all it was. So we're going to go
Mhm.
to our final point, unforgiveness.
Uh-oh.
Unforgiveness.
Mhm.
Can you put in that chat again some looking eyes? If you can recall being hurt by somebody in your past, being hurt by your mate from something in the past, being hurt by a family member, somebody you trusted and loved, that area that you may have had some unforgiveness is causing you to not see your mate. Because I really ain't forgave you over that. Because I really can't believe how hurt I was by that person I really trusted to not hurt me like that. Now
Mhm.
we huh, listen, if I can be honest, I've been hurt by my father. Really couldn't believe he would do
Mm.
that. And because of that, as I was dating, I wouldn't see them. I would see the hurt that I still felt from the absentee of my father. And that
Mm.
has an impact when you're trying to see your mate.
Mhm.
Because now when they can't do something, when they don't show up, when they have to miss something, they have very good reason, you immediately see that same hurt
Mhm.
and you get upset and you respond. And now I if you can't be there, whatever, I guess it's gonna be all right. Like, I mean, it is what it is. I'm ooh, that's a lot of unforgiveness talking right there, child. That's a lot of hurt talking right there, child. There's a lot of,
Mhm.
disappointment talking right there, child. And so now this the first time you did that to me. But my God, it could have been the 10th time you did it to me. Because that's how
Mhm.
I'm responding. That unforgiveness. Now it's look like everybody got them looking eyes.
Oh
So
yeah. I'll put my looking eyes there.
can you attest to it? Can someone speak on it? I know you said family members,
Yes.
Phyllis.
Mhm.
So how
That's a
does
big one.
unforgiveness, how can that cause you not to see your mate? And I want y'all to chime in on that answer. How can unforgiveness cause you to not see your mate? And or how has it caused you to not see yours?
Mm. I'm
How has
definitely
it
with you.
caused you not to see your mate?
We got family members so far. I know there's some different ones.
Mhm.
I will say this. That's why it's important to walk into that while they're chiming in that forgiveness. Because remember I said a few moments ago, God will never heal what you conceal. So he
Mhm.
sends you that significant other. And part of that is if they're really that one, or I like that term that you use, Ronnie, your person. I think you used it Sunday.
Mhm.
But if they're really your person, part of that thing that they're going to do is help you heal in that area.
Mhm.
And helping them heal, remember I said, is the ability to be able to walk with your mate to that door. Because let's face it, you're going to want them, there's going to come a time in your relationship that they're going to have to walk through it with your door.
Mm. Now, can you explain what that means for some people? They're like walking through the door. What do you mean? Because I didn't understand it at first when you first started talking about doing it with me. Then you showed me. So,
Okay, so for example, um you had an issue with, we felt like being controlled by that other person. That
mm,
was your door. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to walk with her when these things come up. I'm not going to take it personal,
mhm,
and I'm going to walk to that, because you know this is just a door. Then once we walk through it together, I help her heal. Now we walk through it together. So by, you know, being extra loving is one example of walking through the door, showing, hey, this is why, I'm doing that. And that's me walking through that door with you. My biggest issue, I'll speak transparent, was trust. I got dogged out in past relationship. And so you had to walk with me in some of my doors of trust.
Mhm.
I remember one particular we were in Atlanta, and you said, "Hey, babe, I do understand." You said, "But this ain't it." And you
Mm,
can't. I think one of the words that you say that healed me, you said was, "You can't be expected to get disappointed every time,"
mm,
and that was
mm,
helping me. And so that's what I mean. Being the ability to be able to, you know, have that extra patience, go with them and say, you know what, this isn't. Thank you. When I say walking through the door, this isn't like, okay, Ronnie, you're gonna have to get over that.
mhm, mhm.
No, that's me sending you to walk through your door alone versus saying, you know what, Ronnie, I understand. Let's walk through this together. That's what I mean by walking through the door. I'm seeing some comments.
Yes, Phyllis says, "Why trust when the most important people in your circle should have handled you differently, but hurt you, so it makes it difficult to trust." And that is
Hmm,
true. And that is true. And so, how does your mate then use their metal detector through that so that that landmine doesn't go off?
they
How does
gotta.
that happen? Now, thank God, yeah, you stumbled through it now, but somebody may be up in there now. So let's go ahead and talk about it. You know, some people.
Can
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. One of the things I'm learning is that sometimes people outside the circle have a better view sometimes than people in the
Mm,
circle.
mm,
Because when you're in the circle, you're viewing it with emotions. You're viewing it sometimes with the longevity or the ties you've been in, especially what Phyllis said with family members and things of that nature. Um, and so do you how do you deal with that? And how does your mate help you deal with that? Um, being loving, understanding that when they coming to you being objective, they're trying to because I don't know about you, but I'm protective over mine. I'm protective over what I believe, and Ronnie knows this. And so knowing that if your mate is a protector in that area, allowing them to be able to speak objectively and not looking at it like they're trying to pull something from you. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I
mm.
didn't mean to cut you off.
I see, and that's it right there. How do I? You got to tell me. That's the issue. Don't hold it in.
Hmm.
I'm somebody you can be vulnerable with, even if the vulnerability is what you're struggling with. Because the last time you was vulnerable with somebody, they used it against you.
Hmm.
Well, check my receipts. Is there something
Hmm.
I'm doing that's making you not be able to be vulnerable? Is there something that I'm actually doing that will make you feel vulnerable, but it's you that's talking yourself out of trusting me?
Hmm.
So you have to be able to tell me the truth on both fronts, and I need to be able to accept that there's something I'm doing to make me not feel like you can be vulnerable with me. Well, because every time I start to get vulnerable, you put up a defensive wall, or you don't listen to me. You just say that ain't me, instead of hearing just what I have to say about the situation.
Hmm.
Instead of hearing how something you might be doing is similar in my mind, even if it doesn't make sense to you. But in my mind, I've reasoned how that makes sense. And that's why every time you do this thing, I get triggered and it just lines up to be the exact same thing. Okay, baby. So what am I supposed to do with that? Because I really can't. I just wanted you to hear me. I wanted you to understand that that's why I respond that way. Okay. So what is our plan? What is our game plan for that? How do we dig that
Hmm.
up together? How do we walk through that door together? How do we put the metal detector out to make sure that up baby, my metal detector is sensing that based off of how you're acting, this is triggering you. So talk to me. What's going on? You're not their therapist. You're not their minister. Even if your mate is a minister, you're not, what I don't want you to become all of a sudden is less of their mate and less of their partner because you're trying to help them walk through a door. You
Hmm.
use that. You can use I can't shut off being a therapist, but I know how to use it to help him get through some things sometimes. I have to pull back sometimes and realize that he doesn't need a therapist right now. He needs his friend. He needs his spouse. He needs a confidant right now. You need to know when you need to be what you need to be in that person's life and be willing to show up for them in that moment. That's the way that you start getting to see them for real. and being
Mhm.
able to hear them say, "Well, baby, I don't know what I can do in that area." That almost sounds like something from your past is triggering you. What are you dealing with? How can I help you figure that out? Because it
Mhm.
may not be something that I did that sets you off. This thing is not about what did I do to harm you. I see you is I'm dealing with some things that I thought was buried, that I thought I dealt with, that I thought I got over. And when you did this one thing, it triggered this other thing. So I'm being honest to tell you that. I'm letting you know, but I'm also working on this. So when this happened, don't bark at me. Don't get upset with me. Don't X, Y, and Z me. I'm actually working on this so that I can
Mhm.
see you. But the way you can help me see you is to constantly remind me by moving different. Be somebody I can trust. Be somebody that I know is not controlling.
Mhm.
Be that loving person. Be that open door. Be that confidant. Let me come to you. Open arms. Forgive me. Give me grace. Show me mercy. You know what, baby? I
Mhm.
don't understand. Can you break that down to me again? Don't be defensive. Just try to hear. Then I can, with grace and with love, work on digging up my own landmine. So next thing you know, you step your foot there, and baby, they ain't tricking me like it used to. Yeah, I dealt with that. I realized that I was tripping. I realized that I was seeing something that wasn't really there. I realized that you actually had been working on that, so I went ahead and dug the landmine up. I went
Mhm.
ahead and handled that. Maybe we have to restart and start assuming that we know you so well at this point because we've been together for so long. Well, you may, but I want you to act like you don't right here in this place so that I can come and talk to you and let it out. And that's okay. Doesn't mean we broken. Doesn't mean there's some broken pieces here and we trying to keep it from exploding. Anybody has anything else they want to say before I give you guys a good little I gotta leave it with homework. I said it's a conference, so you gotta take notes and get some homework now. So I have
Mhm.
a three-part eye exam that I think will help you. Anybody have anything they want to chime in and say before I give you your three-part eye exam to start turning this thing around? Anybody, anybody, anybody?
Like the
Okay. It is 4 minutes after the next hour because we was waiting for some people to come on in, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight. So when we first started, we talked about the man in the mirror. And the first homework assignment I gave you all as individuals was an eye exam. How do you see yourself? So I'm going to give you an eye exam again for the couples. How do you see me? So the first step in the eye exam is identify the landmine that you can no longer avoid before it blows up your relationship. Do you need individual therapy to address it? Couples therapy to address it? Spiritual care, so pastoral counseling to address it? What do you
Mhm.
need to identify that landmine? Is it trust? Is it low self esteem? Is it self worth? Is it doubt? Is it fear? Whatever it is, whatever is coming up, that's saying, you know what, that's triggering me. This is bothering me. It's making me see you different, and it's making me not see who you really are in my life. And now, what is that? So identify the landmine. Number two, deal with the unforgiveness and agree on the plan of how to move forward. Come up with a plan of how we're going to address any unforgiveness that we're starting to notice, that we're starting to feel. How we're going to make the other person aware of what's happening right
Mhm.
here. Hold each other accountable to whatever that plan is. And then actually do the plan. Don't say, you know what, I'm gonna take a moment to breathe before I respond back. I'm going to check in with you throughout the day to make sure that you're okay.
Mm.
We're gonna before we say anything, we're gonna stop, walk away, think about what happened, and then come actually do the thing. If that's the plan, do it. Hold each other accountable to it. But be realistic. This is not the time to set no high unrealistic expectations on how y'all gonna get through something, okay? No, you should this and you should that. Grace. Let grace abide right up and through here. So deal with unforgiveness, agree on a
Mm-hmm.
plan of how to do it, and hold each other accountable. Last, check in. Check in with yourself. Okay. Is this something that I just need to process and let go? Check in with your mate. Do they feel seen by you? Do they feel heard? Do they feel understood? Not just, well, I don't know if they feel me. See, don't check in about you with them. Check in with them about them. Maybe, is there anything that, this week that you feel like I'm not seeing you or I'm not hearing you? Talk to me. That goes a long way. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of saying, baby, I don't think you see me. Baby, is there anything that you feel like I'm not seeing? I haven't heard. I don't understand. That goes a long way. That's an intro to saying, I'm here. I'm trying to dig up this landmine with you. I don't want that thing to keep triggering. That thing keep going off this week, and we got to get rid of that. Okay, humble yourself and be
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable. Then you can start seeing the loving, the caring, the kind mates. You won't blame them for your triggers anymore. And you can be that loving, caring, and kind mate and realize that your spouse has triggers. See, that's the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. Realize that I have triggers. I realize you have triggers. How do I finagle? How do I help you dig? How do you realize there's something you need to dig? So, again, the eye exam, identify your landmine, deal with the
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness, and agree on a plan of how to move forward. Check in with your mate, check in with you, make sure you straight, and it's not something you just got to deal with. And then check in and ask your mate, do I see you? Do you feel like you're being seen? Do you feel like you're being heard? Communication goes a long way, you guys.
Yes.
Communication goes a long way. Any final thoughts? I do have a wrap.
Before you get into that, and it's I'll give them the 30-second version because a lot of people don't know I wear contacts. So because I wear contacts every often, I have to get an eye exam. And the
Mm-hmm.
first thing about that, identifying the landmines, is you got to admit that sometimes you can't see clearly.
Mm.
Sometimes the letters
I
on
can see
the
clearly
eye chart, you can see them, but it
now.
looks a little flurry. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
fuzzy. Then then what they ask you to do, they say cover your eye and then try to see it.
Mm.
Then during that second part, they put the protective glass over it. Okay, which looks better? Does this look better or does this look better? Does this look better or does this look
Mm.
better? And then they do it on both eyes. And then after that, part three, they give you your prescription. So sometimes when you do an eye exam,
Mm.
you may have to realize that I've been looking at my mate this way, but it may be time to change the prescription
Mm.
so that I can see clearly. That's all I want to say.
That
Just
was
want to leave that little
good. I
tidbit.
was seeing my mate one way, but now when I think about it, I've been seeing them wrong this whole time. They're not my enemy. They're not just trying to trigger me. They're not just trying to control me. They don't just not care about me. They're making me think. They're asking questions. They're revealing something that I've been seeing this whole time that ain't really them. So that's good. That's good. That's good. I do have, and if you're on, then you'll win. And the interesting thing today, we are giving away what I told you guys. If you go to therapy, if you go to get a coach, that doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you need some things to be help being weeded out. So we are offering, oh well, actually Sakita Chambers has donated and offered a couples life coaching session with her. She is a life coach.
Mm,
She does virtual sessions, so you don't have to worry about getting minced over where she lives or being able to go see. And so we're going to offer that couple life coaching session. It's one, but whatever you guys do with that, from if you guys want to move and do some more, then that's fine too. But that is going to be offered to, I don't know, it's Sonia and Marvin Alls on tonight. If you're
are the
on,
all
you got to be on to win. You got to be on to win.
are the alls on? Sonia and Marvin.
Okay, I'm shutting
Comment
this
in the
thing
chat
off.
by I'm here. Comment
Say
in the
I'm here
chat.
if you're here. And I'm sorry I left off another part of that gift. That not only will you get the coaching, but there's also by Gary Chapman. He is the renowned love language person, it is a book called Anger, Taming a Powerful Emotion. And we all know that when anger comes into the place, baby, them landmines is going off left and right. And so it's just a book to just talk about anger that lasts for years, when you're angry at your spouse, when you're even angry at God or handling your anger. You have to bring all that in and channel that, because that will start putting rifts in your relationships. Who is this in pink? Up, Tamika and Charles. Hey, you guys are on. I know you're here because you've been contacting me. You've been talking to us the whole night too, as well. So you will be the recipient of the couples life coaching um, session with Sakita Chambers. You'll also receive this lovely book of Taming a Powerful Emotion. So that is good reading. And then I have another raffle to give, and then we'll be out for the night.
More prizes?
Just one more. And this
Oh,
one is Gary Chapman again, the 5 apology languages. That's important because we don't just want to be forgiven. We don't want to just be given some people want restitution. Pay me what you did wrong, right? Some people just want you to say I'm sorry. Some people want you to do something, but you got to know what your mate's love apology language is,
because
because you may
everybody's
be
sorry ain't the same.
everybody's sorry ain't the same, and it'll get me upset because you're not trying. I don't want you to say I'm sorry. I want you to change. How many times we've heard that? Then some people say, I just want you to acknowledge that you did something wrong. So the apology book, a beautiful, nice candle from Shalantes is the champagne and rose scented candle. We got a nice thing that says home is wherever we are together. And then we have a cute little fun date night ideas. So this is fun because what it is, you don't know what it is. You open up one of the cards, you scratch it off, and whatever's on there, that's what y'all doing that night. And when I looked up of the different things that they offer, it was some pretty good fun things that they had going on there of different things you can do. So, oh, let's pull. Who's gonna be the winner? Ingrid and James. Are you
Ingrid
still
and James still
here? Are
there?
you still here?
Oh,
Ingrid
they've been
and
here.
James.
I think they were. She commented a few minutes ago.
We'll see
All
if she's
right, hold
still
on.
here. Say I'm
Ingrid, you
here.
say you here, Ingrid, so you get your stuff.
There's some fun date night ideas. It's the 5 apology book. And a little scented candle for some fun nights. You have but a few seconds to acknowledge that you are here. Okay, there you go, Ingrid.
Yeah, you go. She said we
All
here.
right, all right. So that's a call. That's both of our devoted raffles for tonight. Again, thank you all for coming tomorrow. I really want you to tune in. Tomorrow is a pre-recorded video, but it is a good topic. Tomorrow, the video is say less. It's all about how we communicate. So it's kind of like take two to this. How are you talking to your mate makes the world of difference. Your nonverbal cues as much as your verbal cues. Get into that. That one's about a 20-minute video clip, probably less than that. And then on Friday, we'll be back with another live, and it's Happy Spouse, Happy House. The women ain't the only ones that's got to make sure they're happy in the relationship. We want the men to be happy in the relationship too. So we have four four people, two couples coming to share with us and talk to us about what it takes to be a happy spouse, happy house, and then of course another lovely raffle that I know you're gonna love. Actually, three other raffles that I know you're gonna love. So tomorrow, pre-recorded, say less. Friday, we'll be back with Happy Spouse, Happy House. Saturday is another recorded. Ooh, and that's a little spicy. It's Touch Me, Tease Me. We talking about sex. Yes, we are. And the importance of it in your marriage, importance of it in your relationship, and how to keep it going no matter the age of your relationship with our sexologist, Jennifer Wills. That's going to be good. And of course, we're going to have a good raffle for that one, y'all. Child, come on, get into it. But that's a recorded video. So in order to get that raffle, you're going to have to follow the instructions at the end of the video. Okay, even if you won tonight, you can still win then. Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. Go Chiefs. Boo boo. And then Monday, we'll be back with an all male cast to talk love without works is dead. And that is all about the men saying, hey, this is what I need from y'all women. This is what we need from y'all to show us that you love us, to pour into us, to share, with us. So that was going to be good, ladies, for us to tune into as the men speak about what they got to talk about. So the lineup for this week is here. You hear all about it. Looking forward to seeing y'all,
She
hearing
said, "Go
back from
Chiefs too."
y'all on the rest of this week. If that's all, we out here. Thank y'all for showing up tonight. Peace, love, and hair grease. Until next time.